So, brothers and sisters, indeed I am very, very happy. I always feel important to meet people, and especially young people. You see, the two people, you see, too much praise to me and create impression I am something like semi-God. If that's the case, maybe I remain in heaven, not here. So I always describe myself one of the 7 billion human beings same. Mentally, emotionally, physically, we are same. Therefore, I believe some of my own experience can be useful to others. If I am something like a semi-God, then my experience is you cannot use like that. So you should feel now here one same human being now speaking. The little differences are my age-wise. I am now more than 82 years. And then my life, lot of sort of different experience, including fear and really suffering, and a lot of sort of facing a lot of difficulties, problems. Then on top of that, I am a student of ancient Indian knowledge, Indian thought. At the early my life, say around 6, 7, 8 years, I start to learning, but I have no interest, so I was a very, very lazy student and great reluctance to study these things. Then gradually I developed some interest. Now later I realized, oh, these ancient Indian thought, Indian knowledge, really immense help to keep inner strength, self-confidence. So therefore, now I am fully committed. Firstly, try to share these ancient Indian thought. So wherever I visit different countries, I always describe myself as a messenger of ancient Indian thought. And then in practice also, since my age 16, I lost my freedom. Situation then became very difficult. Then age 24, I lost my own country. There was a lot of suffering, a lot of problem. During this period, ancient Indian knowledge, including ahimsa, really keeps our mind more calm. And then also the difficult situation, in order to deal these difficult situations, according ancient Indian sort of tradition, ahimsa. Like that. So, now here, you as Indian, so traditionally, historically, all this knowledge come from India, so your knowledge. Now, in modern India, I think during British rule, and then since you got independence, I think, frankly speaking, you not much pay attention about ancient your knowledge. You're rushing towards materialistic sort of education, materialistic life. So now we can see those materially highly developed nations, mainly Europe, America, and also, I think some extent Japan also, materially highly developed. But then question of peace of mind about sort of the emotion in this area, materially highly developed. But mental level, too much emotion. They lost their own peace of mind, and also in the society, too much sense of competition and too much sorrow. Also they emphasis, me. So they also say, ahimsa means not harming other. Not just it's because if I harm other, I create sin, right? Or negative karma. Not only that, respect other. As a human brothers, sisters, if someone hit you, you feel uncomfortable. So with that sort of understanding, they're not harming other because they also want happy life, do not want sort of, the suffering, like that. So that's the real meaning of ahimsa. So in order to carry genuine ahimsa, you should have karuna here, sense of concern of others' well-being. With that, restrain harming other. If possible, help other. If not, at least not harming other. Restrain harming other. That's the meaning of ahimsa. So whole my life, the ancient Indian tradition really helps me to keep peace of mind. And with that, now scientists also now say constant anger, hatred, and too much stress is actually eating our immune system. So in order to keep healthy body, peace of mind is very important. So now these ancient Indian tradition, they tackle our emotion, how to tackle our emotion. These are not just for next life or nirvana or moksha, but this very life. Let's be more happier, more healthier, like that. So therefore, I always see the telling, the materialistic life give us only physical comfort. This is not sufficient. Now our daily life, everybody I think knows through one's own experience. When your mind, too much worry, and you lay down at a very comfortable bedroom, and the television or everything there, but your mind too much worry or anger, you won't be happy. You cannot take, I think, genuine restful. So your sleep also destroyed, much disturbed. Other hand, mind peaceful, calm. Even some physical, so the illness can reduce. So physical suffering can work away, can reduce with peace of mind. Other hand, disturbed mind cannot subdue by physical comfort. It is very clear, very clear. So now materialistic life, talking only physical comfort. And in the West, the Western psychologists, they mainly is mentioning about sensorial consciousness, not mental consciousness. Sensorial consciousness, seeing something, and then hear some music or things like that, and the smell and taste and touch, physical touch, including sex. So these are in materialistic sort of country or materialistic life. These are the most important part. They do not know how to tackle our emotion, because they do not know the whole system of our emotion. Whereas ancient Indian tradition, very, very detailed explanation about our emotion and how to tackle emotion. So 1,000 years, you see here, concept of ahimsa, and that means ahimsa based on karuna. And that also, you see, not necessarily combined with religious belief, but secular way. These are really the sort of, I think, different view out of, I think, real, I think, deeper because of wisdom. Like that. So therefore, now I strongly feel all these knowledge originally from India. Now I think when you think about India, you should not, you see, think about since India's independence, now the 70 years, right? About 70 years. Then before that, about 300 years. I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
British rule.
Yeah.
300 years. Oh, 300 years. During this period, so I think British, they introduced certain sort of technology, very good, including rail, train, these things, and also introduce modern education according to their own sort of experience. So I think too much neglected about India's own traditional knowledge of education. You should think, when you think India, you should think over 1,000 years. Now look, world, whole Asia, I think almost it's become a Buddhist country, follower of ancient Indian knowledge. Buddhism comes from India, and then further developed, particularly in the field of philosophy, at the Nalanda institution. So China follow Nalanda tradition, like Nagarjuna. So India's thought, I think, because of the reach whole Asia, like that. So ancient time, I think India's sort of knowledge reached whole Asia. So these, not simply the original, the India's the tradition. These, you see, our tradition, not just prayer or faith, but use our mind. So practice of shamatha or samadhi, samadhi and vipassana. All these method transform our mind, our thought. So therefore, automatically, in order to carry practice of samadhi and vipassana, we have to know the whole system of our mind and how to develop wisdom through training. So Indian psychology is highly developed. I usually see publicly also I mentioned, compare ancient Indian psychology, the modern psychology looks like kindergarten level. Indian psychology highly developed. So now these ancient Indian knowledge about the emotion, about thought, about mind, these are, I think, not only ancient knowledge, but is very, very relevant to today's world. Now today, 7 billion beings facing a lot of problem or suffering, which our own creation. Basic human nature is more compassionate. That's now scientists say. Basic human nature is more compassionate. And sufficient reason, entire 7 billion human beings, you see, come from their mother and receive the maximum love, affection from their mother. Without that, we cannot survive. So we survived. So, due to mother's care, mother's love, mainly. So next few years, without mother's affection, love, we can't survive. So, 7 million beings who survived, all survived because of human love. And then, as I mentioned earlier, constant anger is very bad for our health. On the other hand, more compassionate mind is very good for our health. So these are the reasons basic human nature is more compassionate. Sufficient reason. The scientists, they are sort of, also the conclusion, take only thorough investigation and experiment. Like that. So they actually, you see, implementing some kind of vipassana, analytical meditation, like that. So basic human nature is more compassionate. Then why? Many suffering, problem, we ourselves created. Why? Our emotion become out of control. When we develop certain emotion. In the West, pray to God, just for faith. In Judeo-Christian background, tradition, wonderful. I respect, I admire. But no tradition or practice of shamatha, practice of vipassana. So they only sort of pray faith towards God. Whereas this country, see, I think Jainism, Buddhism, and one part of Sannyasism, no concept of creator, no God. We are quite sinful. I am Buddhist. You say according to Buddhist tradition, no creator, no God. Buddha, not creator, but teacher. Like that. He himself, you see, clearly mentioned. So therefore, these, you see, non-theistic religious tradition now emphasis how to improve yourself through training. Not just waiting blessing from God. No, you yourself must change. Change through training. So, now ancient India's knowledge, I feel very, very useful to whole world. But then, we must make clear that out of 7 billion human beings, 1 billion non-believer. So we must include these non-believers also. So we cannot sort of educate these people on a concept which is based on faith, religion. Then these people won't take interest. So now India is a 1,000-year-old secular concept. Respect all religion and also respect the non-believer. That's wonderful. India's constitution itself based on secular. Wonderful. In the West, many of my friends, when I use this word secular, then some of my friends say, oh, don't use that. Secular in the West, they understand secular is disrespect religion. And sometimes you see against religion. That I think during French Revolution and Bolshevik Revolution, some kind of sort of tendency to against religion. That actually not religion, but religious institution. We have to make distinction. Religion, really, sort of meaning of religion is love. Love. Nobody can against that. Even animals appreciate love. They cannot express, I think like dog, the only way to express is their tail, like that. So when you show love, or they tail like that, then the best way to appreciation is licking. When you show them our love, our closeness feeling, then licking us. So even animal is very much appreciated human love. So genuine meaning of religion is love. But religious institution, I think in many cases, rotten. The religious institution become like landlord, feudal institution, exploit people. So the revolutions is a have to against such sort of institution. So in any way, in the West, secular, they find a little uncomfortable. Now in this country, secular, I think very wise. Respect, including non-believer. So I always trying to so now these things originally come from religious text, but now we should consider these are academic subject and health subject, not faith. So I often is now expressing hygiene of physical, including also kasara study, or study. Now, when we say hygiene of physical, must include hygiene of emotion. So now, as a part of academic subject, not religious subject. So I usually call a secular way to educate about secular ethics, not based on religious faith, but use our common experience and common sense and scientific finding. So now here, my young brothers, sisters, you see, please keep in your mind the greatness of ancient Indian knowledge and something very relevant to today's world. And I think you can say, or Dalai Lama use ancient Indian knowledge maximum way. So now you Indian, you see, must follow that. Traditionally, we are Chela. You are our Guru. In modern time, I also used to mention it. You Indian, our Guru and our teacher, we are Chela, not only just ordinary Chela, but quite a reliable, trusted Chela. While you see Guruji is too much attracted towards material value, we Chela kept all this knowledge over 1,000 years. So it is quite sort of sufficient to say we are a reliable Chela. So now I really feel very, very strongly. Now remaining my life, I am fully committed to serve revival of this ancient Indian knowledge according secular way in this country. So that you see, you can, India is the only nation who can combine modern education, modern technology, science, and modern economy, plus ancient Indian knowledge, how to tackle our mind, our emotion, and bring peace of mind. No other country can do that, only this country. So that I always now sharing with my Indian friends, and particularly younger people. Perhaps you may have more interest about music, about sports, or these things, Western materialistic life. But you should think more deeper way. Then Westerners, we can see a lot of problems there, including their leaders. So therefore, you see, the existing so-called modern education is not adequate to bring happy person, happy individual, happy community. Why? Not pay any attention about our inner value. Okay. So now I would like to take some questions.
I have a question as well as a request. My question is that in today's world, when religious institutions are only functioning to divide people, if you look at terrorism that is spreading this hatred in the name of Islam, or we look at the cow protectors who are spreading violence in the name of Hinduism, how significant is the concept of religion going forward when people are losing faith in it? And my request is that I have my copy of How to See Yourself for Who You Really Are. Will you please sign it?
Okay, it's okay. My signature, quite high price. So you should prepare. Okay, now, your question, that is a very serious question. My view is all major world religious tradition, whether theistic religion, non-theistic religion, all carry message of love and message of tolerance and contentment, self-discipline and forgiveness. So the problem is, you see, the people in the public level, you see, the religion is some kind of tradition, not transformed or our emotion. I have, you see, one of my commitment is promotion of religious harmony. I really, you see, convinced religious harmony is possible because in this country, large number of Muslims, large number of Christians live together. I never heard, you see, among Muslim, Sunni and Shia conflict, and Muslim and other tradition. No, I think so. Some cases, some individual may express something different, but otherwise, overall, as India, I think religious harmony is really very strong, and that this not political reason, but over 1,000 years, religious harmony there. So I fully convinced religious harmony is possible. So I always telling people, now here, whether we accept religion or not, that's up to individual. Once we accept religion, we should be serious. We should be sincere. Then Christianity, also the main message is love. The Muslim also, the main message of Allah is love. So some Muslim friend, you see, telling me, genuine Muslim practitioner, you see, must extend love towards entire the creature of Allah. Wonderful, wonderful. And any Muslim create bloodshed, then reality no longer genuine practitioner of Islam. Like that. So therefore, now question is, we people who take religion but more superficial way, and then that sometimes, you see, become disposal of our negative emotion. So religion itself now creating division and even violence. So sometimes I also feel, oh, when I saw this problem, then I felt, oh, human being without religion may be better. But then, other hand, if you seriously, sincerely carry the message or practice of one's own religion, then all have the same potential to produce good human being, warm-hearted person, like that. So that's my view. Next question.
Second question from his best corner. Second question.
Sir, as you told us that the peace of mind is very important for the human beings, but today, everywhere in the world, the war, anger, and violence everywhere. So, how we can maintain peace and, most importantly, ahimsa in today's world?
I think, as I already mentioned, India, over 1 billion population, and East India, South India, West India, North India, Central India, different community, different language, different even script, but live together as one Indian union, under one Indian flag. I think these, and last now, I think 70 years, very peaceful. Compare your neighbor. I think this country, I think much peaceful. But source of complication there. Some South Indian, they say, oh, Tamil language is much better than Hindi. That kind of prejudice way. But still, you see, remain one union. Recently, I was in Kasachoti, Manipur, at one press meeting. One pressman asked me about the independence of Manipur. Then I told, oh, the ancient time, different rajas, more or less independence. In modern India, you see the union of India. So I always admire European Union, spirit of European Union. These member states of European Union, in the past, so many violence, war. Since European Union developed, then member state, now no violence, no war. So, India, so therefore, you see the harmony, religious harmony, since this complicated big nation, most populated democratic country, you see, carry this practice. So therefore, we can show the rest of the world, or religious harmony is very possible. I have strong view. The government of India, also you see, sometimes I also sort of express, government of India, I think, should organize international religious conference and show them religious harmony is possible in this big country and quite complicated country. There are a lot of differences there, but remain union. And religiously, also you see, occasionally some disgraced religious leaders, because in Haryana, what do you call that? That Maan Guru.
Ram Rai.
Oh, no, that. So one Tibetan Lama in America also eventually disgraced, like that. So that also I think very good. Recently I met the governor of Punjab, and of course he won some sort of work in Chandigarh, mainly education field. So I fully agree. I'm ready. Go there. And then I mentioned the Guru, Maan Guru. And then he mentioned to me, he also some participation he put in prison. So then I told him, oh, then you are very, very sinful. Maan Guru put in prison. But these are, I think, very good. Still, rule of law there. So these things, I think India really have these sort of thing there. So now time come must show outside world, particularly in your neighbor in Afghanistan, in these in Pakistan and this Arab area. I think religious harmony, since here religious harmony over 1,000 years there. So one sort of big international gathering, and then at the first day, the leaders should speak something nice things. Then they cannot remain. But then next 2-3 days, this is secondary level of religious leader to sit together and discuss. Since this country, over 3,000 years, religious harmony there. So now, we can develop religious harmony. So then, a serious discussion, and then from that group, if you see the circumstances is okay, then visit those areas and conflict in the name of religion, some delegation, go there and tell. And then finally, the government of India should arrange some sort of the facility to pilgrimage within the country, all sort of the different religious traditions, or the temple or gurdwaras there. I practicing this since 75 at Sanat. One day, same day, first one small mosque, then church, and then of course small Buddhist temple. like that. So same day, a pilgrimage to different sort of holy places. Then last, the Gurdwara, Sikh temple. So they usually have prasad. So the timing, you see, the last, then I already feel hungry. So the Gurdwara's prasad is so delicious. So like that. Since then, I sort of, whenever I have the opportunity, you see, pay my respect, all these different religious traditions, religious sort of, or holy sites, right? Temples like that. So, then you see, the delegation should feel, oh, this big country, oh, this is religious, also the whole world major religious tradition live together. So I feel, you see, India can make significant contribution regarding promotion of religious harmony. So therefore, firstly, I think more harmony feeling, mutual respect, then mutual learning. Then perhaps I think among the religious believer, or my belief, my faith, their faith, that kind of sort of strong feeling can reduce more closer contact. I think Indian Muslim, since their childhood, they already sort of know there are different religious traditions. In Malaysia also, I noticed Malaysia Muslim, because there are large number of Chinese there. Most of these Chinese are Buddhist, and then some Indian Hindus there. So Malaysian Muslim, they are sort of mind more open-minded, and Indonesia as well. Then Arab area, isolated, no connection with other religious tradition. Then the question, the feeling of one truth, one religion, that's very strong. Whereas India, several truth, several religion there. So I think we can change through personal contact, friendship. Then you see we can help them. We can open their mind, more sort of narrow-minded thinking, more open. So India, I think, can do, I think, much thing. I feel that. Okay. Next question.
One more question.
Yes.
Your Holiness, my question is about happiness. In the West, now they're talking in terms of happiness quotient. The United Nations celebrates International Day of Happiness. They release an index, and this year the Norway tops the list. US is in the middle, and India is at 122, if I'm not wrong. So in your opinion, can happiness be measured, and how much emphasis is to be laid on the external factors? Thank you so much.
That's right. Happiness.
happiness quotient position. We gave up
I don't know. I usually see judging the person, how much sort of peaceful, how much happiness is, look their face. More smile, also spontaneous way, spontaneous smile, I consider happiness there. And artificial smile, no. Without much feeling here. I usually call diplomatic smile. Many Chinese diplomats, they are expert smiling. Not much feeling here. So I think okay. So genuine sort of smile, I think, among different species of mammal, I think we human beings have that ability to show expression of love and friendship. That's a smile. So like that, But then I think maybe now some scientists eventually, you see, may identify with a certain sort of the measure or because of the way to test that person happy or unhappy. Maybe, I don't know. And then happiness, long-lasting happiness or friendship is key factor. Short moment, the friendship, not much is useful. That long-lasting sort of, because of the friendship. Happiness very much related with friendship. Friendship very much entirely depend on trust. Trust depend on you show first genuine sense of concern of their well-being, then trust come. Not money, not power, but your sincerity show them. Then trust come. Trust as a social animal, friendship is very essential. In order to create friendship, trust is key factor. And there, the key factor is warm-heartedness. So, one of my sort of commitment is try to promote a sense of concern of the well-being of entire 7 billion human beings on the basis of the sense of oneness of entire 7 billion human beings. I always talk in that, like that. So the way your introduction, Dharma is something very special. It's actually against my, because of my concept. You should consider me as another human being. And I think if you want to say, oh, nice human being, okay.
So,
Yes.
second last question.
Oh. You say, no problem, no problem. Yes. I think a few more questions. Oh, yes. Oh, right. Okay. Then last question.
Ram, I wanted to ask that you are the incarnation of the Bodhisattva of infinite compassion, Avalokiteshvara. How do you feel about it?
No. I never felt I am something reincarnation of the Avalokiteshvara. However, I feel I have some, through several lives, you see, I have some special connection with Avalokiteshvara. And also, you see, Saraswati. One indication, I have some blessing, special blessing from Saraswati, Manjushri. The indication is my brain is quite sharp. That's Manjushri and the Saraswati's blessing. Okay. You see, pray to Saraswati, but remain brain dull. Then it is clear indication you haven't received any blessing from